The morning started like any other morning on New Scylla. Captain Ji-won stood at the observation window of the command center, watching the miners head out to their work sites. The sun was rising over the rocky horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. She held her coffee cup and smiled. Life was good here. Quiet and peaceful. "Captain, all morning reports are in," said Minho from his station. The scientist was always early, always organized. "Everything looks normal." Ji-won nodded. Normal was good. Normal meant another day of steady work, another day closer to their production goals. New Scylla wasn't a big colony, just 3,000 people who had left Earth decades ago. They wanted a simple life, away from the politics and noise of the homeworld. Here on Kepler 442d, they found exactly that. Ara walked into the command center carrying a toolbox. The young engineer had been assigned to check the communication systems today. "Good morning, Captain. I'll start working on the relay station now." "Be careful up there," Ji-won said. "Those old systems can be tricky." Ara grinned. "I know. But someone has to keep them running." Outside, the colony was waking up. Children walked to school. Workers headed to the mines. Shop owners opened their businesses. Administrator Hyun was probably already in his office, reviewing supply requests and scheduling reports. Everything was routine, predictable, safe. Then the alarm started screaming. Ji-won dropped her coffee cup. It shattered on the floor, but she was already running to the main console. Minho's face had gone pale as he stared at his screens. "What is it?" Ji-won demanded. "Ships," Minho whispered. "Lots of ships. They just appeared in orbit." Ji-won looked at the display and felt her blood turn to ice. Dozens of massive vessels floated above their planet. They were huge, bigger than anything she had ever seen. Dark metal hulls covered in weapons. These were warships. "Are they human?" Ara asked, her voice hopeful. Minho shook his head slowly. "No. The design is completely unknown. And, Captain, they're not responding to our hails." Ji-won's mind raced. New Scylla had one small defense ship, the Guardian. It was old, barely functional. Meant more for asteroid clearing than actual combat. Against this fleet, it would be useless. "Sound the colony alarm," she ordered. "Get everyone to the shelters." The warning sirens began to wail across the colony. People stopped in the streets, confused and frightened. Then they started running. Parents grabbed their children. Workers dropped their tools and headed for the underground bunkers. Hyun burst into the command center, breathing hard. "What's happening?" "We're under attack," Ji-won said simply. "Or we will be soon." A message came through on the main screen. The image showed an alien face, reptilian and cold. When it spoke, the computer translated the words, "Humans of New Scylla, you have entered territory claimed by the Valthari Dominion. Your presence here is illegal. You have 36 hours to surrender your colony and all resources. If you resist, you will be destroyed. There will be no negotiation." The screen went dark. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then Hyun found his voice. "Can we fight them?" Ji-won looked at him sadly. "No, we can't." "Then we have to surrender?" "Maybe." Ji-won turned to Minho. "Send a distress signal. All frequencies. Emergency protocols. Tell everyone what's happening here." Minho. Minho sat down at his station and started typing. "Captain, the nearest human outpost is 3 weeks away by normal travel. Even if they send help immediately, they won't arrive in time. Do it anyway," Ji-won said firmly. "Someone needs to know what happened here." Ara put down her toolbox. "What can I do?" "Help me prepare the Guardian," Ji-won said. "And check all defensive systems. If we're going down fighting." Over the next few hours, chaos ruled the colony. Families huddled in the underground shelters. Daeun, the civilian leader, tried to keep everyone calm. She organized food distribution and medical supplies. She sang songs with the children to keep their minds off the danger above. On the surface, Taeyang gathered every able person who could hold a weapon. The security chief knew it was hopeless, but he refused to give up without a fight. Old mining lasers were converted to weapons. Barricades were built around the main buildings. In the command center, Minho worked on the distress signal. He encoded everything about the attack, about the Valthari, about what was happening. He sent it out on every frequency humanity used. He boosted the signal as much as possible, hoping someone, somewhere, would hear it. "It's done," he finally said. "The message is out there. Will anyone come?" Ara asked quietly. Minho looked at her with sad eyes. "Honestly, I don't think so. We left Earth. We chose to be alone out here. Why would they risk their ships for us?" Jiwon wanted to argue, but she couldn't. Minho was probably right. New Scylla had cut most ties with Earth decades ago. They didn't pay taxes. They didn't vote in Earth elections. They were independent, isolated, forgotten. Night fell on New Scylla. In the shelters, mothers held their children close. In the command center, Jiwon watched the Valthari ships move into attack positions. 30 hours left. Then, 24. Then 18. Hyun came to her with surrender documents prepared. "Maybe if we give them what they want, they'll let us live." "Maybe," Jiwon said. But she didn't believe it. Species that built fleets like this didn't show mercy. Ara continued working on the old communication systems, desperately trying to boost their signal range. Young Jisoo, the communications technician, helped her. Together, they managed to route the distress call through the quantum relay network. "Wait," Jisoo said suddenly. "Captain, I think our message reached Earth." Jiwon looked up sharply. "What?" "The quantum relay. It bounced our signal all the way back to Earth. They received it about 18 hours ago." Everyone in the command center turned to look at him. "Will they help?" Ara asked. Minho shook his head. "Even if they wanted to, they couldn't get here in time. Earth is too far away." Not. 12 hours remained. The Valthari ships moved closer, their weapons powered up. The alien commander sent another message, demanding their immediate surrender. Jiwon prepared to give the order to evacuate everyone underground. At least in the shelters, some might survive the initial attack. It was a slim hope, but it was all they had. Then Jisoo jumped out of his chair. "Captain, sensors are picking up something. More Valthari ships?" Taeyang asked grimly. "No," Jisoo's voice was shaking. "These are different. Multiple contacts. Coming in fast. Really fast." Minho checked his screens. His mouth fell open. "That's impossible." "What is it?" Jiwon demanded. Minho looked at her with wide eyes. "Ships. Hundreds of them. They're human ships, Captain. And they're heading straight for us." Outside, in the dark sky above New Scylla, space began to ripple and tear. Something massive was coming. Something that would change everything. Help was on the way. Not just help. Not just a rescue ship or two. An entire fleet was coming home to bring their people to safety. The command center fell silent. Everyone stared at the sensor displays, afraid to believe what they were seeing. Hundreds of contacts appeared on the screens, all marked as human vessels. They were still far away, but closing the distance at incredible speed. "Are you sure about this?" Jiwon asked Minho. Her voice was barely a whisper. Minho checked his readings 3 times. "I'm sure. Those are definitely human ships. The signatures match Earth Defense Fleet patterns. But Captain, this doesn't make sense. They couldn't have gotten here this fast." "It's been less than 20 hours since our distress call reached Earth." Ara moved closer to look at the screens. "How many ships are there?" "I'm counting at least 200 capital ships," Jisoo said, his fingers dancing across the console. "And more contacts appearing every second. Carriers, destroyers, cruisers. This isn't a rescue mission. This is a battle fleet." Taeyang had rushed to the command center when he heard the news. Now he stood behind Ji-won, staring at the display in disbelief. They sent their fleet? For us? Hyun arrived moments later, breathing hard from running. Is it true? Earth sent help? Ji-won nodded slowly. She couldn't speak. Emotions were overwhelming her. They had been abandoned, forgotten, resigned to their fate. And now, this. Earth had heard their call, and sent not just help, but everything they had. How long until they arrive? She finally managed to ask. Minho calculated quickly. At their current speed, about 2 hours. Maybe less. The Valthari. They've detected the fleet too. Their ships are repositioning. I think they're trying to decide what to do. On the Valthari command ship, Admiral Zexthron was having the same problem. His sensor officers kept giving him numbers that couldn't be real. Human ships didn't move this fast. Human fleets didn't respond this quickly. It was supposed to be a simple conquest. One small colony. No military value. No strategic importance. Now his 40 ships faced an incoming armada that outnumbered him 5-1. Send a message to the human fleet, he ordered. Demand to know their intentions. In the underground shelters, word spread quickly. Daeun heard it from a runner who came down from the surface. She didn't believe it at first. Then, she saw the hope in people's eyes and realized it must be true. Everyone, listen to me, she called out. The frightened families looked up at her. Ships are coming. Human ships. Earth sent a fleet to help us. A woman started crying. Others joined her. Children asked their parents what it meant. The fear that had filled the shelter began to change into something else. Hope. Relief. Joy. Are we safe now? A small boy asked his mother. I think so, she answered, hugging him tight. I think we're going to be okay. Back on the surface, Ara climbed up to the communication relay station. She wanted to see the sky, to watch the stars, and wait for the fleet to arrive. The Valthari ships hung in orbit like dark clouds, threatening and deadly. But somewhere beyond them, help was racing closer. She thought about Earth. She had never been there. She was born here on New Scylla, third-generation colonist. Earth was just stories her grandmother told, pictures in old books, a place her ancestors left behind because they wanted freedom and space. But Earth hadn't forgotten them. Earth had heard them cry for help and sent everything. Every ship, every soldier, every weapon. Why? Why would they do that? Taeyang organized his security teams on the surface. They maintained their positions around the colony, even though fighting now seemed unlikely. He needed to keep his people busy, focused. Hope was dangerous if it turned out to be false. Keep your eyes open, he told them. Until that fleet arrives, we're still in danger. In the command center, Jisoo continued monitoring all frequencies. He listened to radio chatter, analyzed signals, tracked every ship in the system. Then he picked up something new. Captain, the Earth fleet is broadcasting a message. It's on all channels. Let's hear it, Ji-won said. A strong, calm voice filled the room. This is Admiral So-hyun of the Earth Defense Fleet to all vessels in the Kepler 442D system. We are responding to a distress call from New Scylla Colony. Our fleet consists of 200 warships and support vessels. We are authorized to use any force necessary to protect human lives. All hostile forces are ordered to withdraw immediately or face destruction. This is your only warning. Silence followed the message. Then Minho laughed. It was a strange sound. Half relief and half disbelief. She means it. She really means it. Of course she means it, Hyun said quietly. They came all this way. They're not here to talk. The Valthari commander sent his response. His voice was arrogant, threatening. Earth fleet, you have no authority in this region. This colony violated Valthari territorial claims. We are within our rights to enforce our laws. Turn back, or we will consider your presence an act of war. Ji-won held her breath, waiting for Admiral So-hyun's response. It came quickly and coldly. The only law that matters here is this. Humans do not surrender to threats. Humans do not abandon their people. You have 30 minutes to begin your withdrawal. After that, we will consider any hostile vessel fair target for destruction. Ara, listening from the relay station, felt tears running down her face. She had never heard such fierce protectiveness in anyone's voice. Admiral Sohoon spoke like Nucilla was her own family. Like every person here mattered more than anything else. The Valthari fleet began to move. For a moment, it looked like they might retreat. Then their weapons powered up. They're going to fight, Taeyang said grimly. Against that fleet? Hyun asked. That's suicide. Maybe they think they can hurt us enough to negotiate, Minho suggested. Take down some Earth ships. Force a compromise. Jiwon shook her head. They don't understand. Admiral Sohyun didn't come here to negotiate. She came here to win. The minutes ticked by slowly. 25 minutes. 20. 15. The Earth fleet continued its approach. Not slowing. Not stopping. They were close enough now that Ara could see them through her telescope. Massive ships. Bristling with weapons. Carriers launching fighter squadrons. Destroyers forming attack formations. It was the most beautiful thing she had ever seen. 10 minutes remained. The Valthari ships spread out, trying to maximize their defensive positions. Their commander sent one last message, demanding that Earth back down. Admiral Sohyun didn't bother responding. 5 minutes. In the shelters below, Dayun led everyone in a prayer. She wasn't particularly religious, but it felt right. They had been saved by a miracle. The least they could do was say thank you. 3 minutes. Jiwon watched her screens, her heart pounding. Years ago, when she joined the Colony Defense Force, she never imagined this. She thought she might spend her life dealing with minor problems, maybe an occasional pirate. Not this. Never this. 1 minute. The Earth fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation. 200 warships appeared in the sky above Nucilla, like avenging angels. Their running lights blazed against the darkness. Their weapons were armed and ready. Time was up. Jisoo received a direct communication. New Silla Command Center. This is EDS Incheon. We're taking command of the defense grid. Sit tight and stay underground. This will be over soon. Understood, Jiwon replied. And thank you. Thank you for coming. No thanks needed, the voice from the Incheon said warmly. You're human. That's enough. Now let us do our job. Ara watched from her position on the relay tower as the first human fighters screamed past overhead. They moved so fast, she could barely track them. Streams of light shot across the sky as the battle began, but calling it a battle wasn't quite right. What happened next was something else, entirely. It was a demonstration of what happened when someone threatened humans, and Earth decided enough was enough. It was a message written in fire and metal and overwhelming force. It was a promise kept. A family reunited. A debt repaid. That Nucilla never even knew they were owed. The Valthari were about to learn a hard lesson. When you threaten one human, you threaten all humans. And humanity never forgets its own. The Earth Defense Fleet hung in space above Nucilla like a wall of steel and fire. From the command center, Jiwon could see them on every screen. So many ships, too many to count. Each one was massive, powerful, built for war. Commander Jiho stood on the bridge of the flagship Incheon, watching the tactical displays. He had been part of the Pacific Defense Fleet for 15 years. But this was different. This wasn't a training exercise or a patrol mission. This was real. Colonists were in danger, and his fleet had crossed half the galaxy in record time to save them. All ships report ready, his tactical officer announced. Weapons armed, fighters deployed. We're ready to engage. Jiho nodded. Good. Open a channel to the Valthari commander. On the alien command ship, Admiral Zexthron received the incoming message. A human face appeared on his screen. Young, calm, dangerous. I am Commander Jiho of the Earth Defense Ship Incheon. You have refused to withdraw from this system. You have threatened human lives. This is your final opportunity to leave peacefully. Zexthron's scales rippled with anger. How dare these humans order him around? He commanded 40 warships. Yes, the Earth fleet was larger, but his ships were powerful. His warriors were experienced. He could inflict serious damage. Human commander, you are making a grave mistake. The Valthari Dominion will not be intimidated. If you wish to protect these colonists, you will negotiate with us like civilized species. Jiho's expression didn't change. We don't negotiate with terrorists. Last chance. Withdraw now. We refuse. Then you've made your choice. Jiho closed the channel and turned to his weapons officer. Target their lead destroyer. Single railgun shot. Show them what we can do. Lieutenant Sora sat in her fighter cockpit, waiting for the order to attack. Around her, 300 other fighters floated in formation. They had launched from the carriers 5 minutes ago, spreading out around the fleet. Her fighter was new, equipped with technology the Valthari had probably never seen. Neural interface systems let her control the ship with her thoughts. AI assistants predicted enemy movements before they happened. She wasn't afraid. She was ready. On New Sila, Ara watched through her telescope as a single line of light shot from the Incheon. It crossed 50,000 kilometers in less than a second. The Valthari destroyer didn't even have time to raise shields. The railgun slug hit the alien ship dead center. Metal exploded outward. The destroyer broke in half, tumbling through space. Secondary explosions rippled along its hull as power systems failed. Within seconds, it was nothing but debris. Single shot, Minho whispered in the command center. They destroyed it. With one shot from that distance, Jiwon felt cold. She had been in the military. She knew weapons and ships. But this was beyond anything she had imagined. The Earth fleet had technology decades ahead of what New Sila possessed. Maybe centuries ahead. Admiral Zexthron stared at his screens in shock. One of his ships. Gone. Just gone. The human weapon had fired faster than his sensors could track. Hit harder than anything he had ever seen. Raise all shields, he shouted. Battle formations. Prepare to engage. His officers scrambled to follow orders. The Valthari fleet began to move, spreading out to attack from multiple angles. If they could get close enough, their superior numbers might still make a difference. But Jiho was already 10 steps ahead. Fighter wings, you are cleared to engage. Target their fighter screen. Take them out. Sora heard the order and smiled. All wings. This is Wing Commander Sora. You heard the man. Let's show these aliens how humans fight. Stay tight. Watch your sectors. And don't let any of them through. She pushed her fighter forward, and the neural interface responded instantly. The ship became an extension of her body. She thought about moving left, and the fighter rolled left. She focused on an enemy target, and her weapons locked on automatically. The Valthari fighters were large and heavily armored. They relied on thick shields and powerful guns. But they were slow. So slow. Sora's fighter dove through their formation like a knife through paper. Her weapons fired in precise bursts, each shot hitting exactly where she aimed. 3 enemy fighters exploded before they even knew she was there. She rolled, dodged return fire, and came around for another pass. All around her, the human fighter wings were doing the same thing. The Valthari pilots tried to respond, but they couldn't match the speed. They couldn't predict the movements. The human fighters danced through space. Impossible to catch, impossible to hit. Within 2 minutes, half the alien fighter screen was destroyed. On the Incheon, Chief Engineer Yuna monitored the power systems. The ship's main weapons were charging, but they hadn't even reached 50% capacity yet. They were holding back, giving the enemy a chance to see reason. Commander, The Valthari capital ships are advancing, the tactical officer reported. Jiho watched the display. 8 heavy cruisers were moving toward the Earth fleet, weapons powering up. The alien admiral was committed now. He was going to fight. All ships. This is Incheon Command. We are weapons free. Engage at will. Try to disable rather than destroy if possible. But protect yourselves first. The Earth fleet opened fire. It wasn't like anything the Valthari had ever experienced. Railgun rounds moved at impossible speeds. Missiles twisted through space with AI guidance, dodging defensive fire and striking weak points. Energy beams, invisible until they hit, sliced through shields and armor. The Valthari fought back desperately. Their weapons hit some Earth ships, scarring armor and draining shields. But they couldn't penetrate. The human defenses were too strong. Their technology was too advanced. And the humans were angry. Jiwon watched from New Scylla as the space above them filled with fire. Ships twisted and turned. Weapons flashed. The Valthari were losing. It was obvious within the first minute of combat. They had picked a fight with the wrong species. In the shelters below, Daeun heard the rumbling of distant explosions. Some people were crying, but not from fear anymore. From relief. From gratitude. Their planet had been about to fall, and Earth had come to save them. Why did they come? A young girl asked her mother. Why would Earth send so many ships for us? Her mother hugged her close. Because we're humans, sweetheart, and humans take care of each other. The battle raged for 8 minutes. 8 minutes of desperate fighting by the Valthari, trying to inflict any damage they could. 8 minutes of precise, overwhelming force from the Earth fleet. When it was over, 12 Valthari ships had been completely destroyed. 28 more were badly damaged, limping and broken. The rest were scattered, their formations shattered, their will to fight gone. Admiral Zexthron's flagship was burning. His shields had failed. His weapons were offline. Half his crew was dead or injured. He had never imagined defeat could come so quickly, so completely. The communication channel opened again. Admiral So-hyun's face appeared. She was older than Commander Jiho, with gray hair and hard eyes. Eyes that had seen many battles. Valthari Commander, your fleet is defeated. You have 2 choices now. You can withdraw immediately and live, or you can continue fighting and die. There will be no negotiation. There will be no compromise. Choose now. Zexthron looked at his damaged bridge, his dying ship, his scattered fleet. He had lost. Completely and totally lost. The humans had crushed him without even trying hard. We will withdraw, he said quietly. No, So-hyun said firmly. Before you leave, you will do something for me. You will broadcast a message on all Valthari frequencies. You will tell your entire species what happened here today. You will tell them that human colonies are under Earth's protection. You will tell them that any attack on humans, anywhere in the galaxy, will be met with total war. Do you understand? Zexthron wanted to refuse. His pride demanded it. But pride was worthless when you were dying. I understand. Good. Make your broadcast, then get out of this system. If I ever see Valthari ships near human space again, I won't be so merciful. The channel closed. Jiho watched the alien fleet begin to retreat. Damaged ships limped toward the edge of the system. The survivors fled as fast as they could. The proud Valthari Dominion had learned a hard lesson today. Medical Officer Jamin stood in the Incheon's medical bay, treating wounded pilots. There weren't many. The human casualties were remarkably light. A few injured from near misses. One fighter pilot with a broken arm from emergency maneuvering. That was it. 0 deaths. Against 40 warships, Earth had suffered 0 deaths. Prepare medical teams for surface deployment, Jamin ordered his staff. The colonists might have injuries from the initial attack. We're going down to help them. Mining. On New Scylla, Jiwon sat in her command chair and cried. She had tried to stay strong, tried to be the brave captain. But now it was over, and the emotions were too much. They had been saved. Impossibly, incredibly saved. Captain, Minho said gently. Admiral Sohan is requesting to speak with you. Jiwan wiped her tears and straightened her uniform. Put her through. The Admiral's face appeared on the screen. She smiled, and the hard warrior expression softened into something kind. Captain Jiwan, your people are safe now. We're establishing a permanent garrison in this system. You won't be alone again. Thank you, Jiwan managed to say. Thank you so much. But why? Why did you come? Admiral Seohyun's smile grew wider. Because you're human. Because you needed help. Do we need any other reason? Outside, in the dark sky above New Scilla, the Earth Defense Fleet held position. Watching, protecting, promising that no threat would ever reach this colony again. 3 days had passed since the Valthari fled. The Earth Defense Fleet still hung in orbit above New Scilla. A constant reminder that humans were safe now. 2 destroyers and a support station would stay permanently. The rest would eventually return to Earth. But first, there was work to do. Captain Jiwan walked through the colony, watching Earth soldiers help repair damaged buildings. Medical teams from the fleet moved through the shelters, treating anyone who needed care. Supply ships had landed, bringing food, medicine, and equipment, everything New Scilla could possibly need. She had been invited to the Incheon. Admiral So-hyun wanted to meet her in person. The shuttle would arrive in an hour to take her up. Jiwan was nervous. She had commanded a small defense force on a forgotten colony. Admiral Seo-hyun commanded the most powerful fleet in human space. What would they even talk about? Ara found her near the main plaza. The young engineer had been helping the Earth technicians upgrade the colony's systems. Captain, you look worried. Worried. I'm meeting Admiral Seo-hyun today, Jiwan admitted. I don't know what to say to her. Ara smiled. Just say thank you. That's enough. Maybe it was. Maybe that was all that needed to be said. The shuttle ride up to the Incheon was smooth and fast. Much faster than anything New Scilla's old shuttles could manage. Jiwan sat quietly, watching her planet grow smaller below. She had lived there her entire adult life. Now it looked so tiny, so vulnerable. The Incheon was enormous up close. Jiwan had seen it on sensors, but being next to it was different. The ship was over 1 kilometer long, bristling with weapons and armor. It could probably destroy her entire colony in seconds if it wanted to, but it had come to save them instead. A young officer met her at the docking bay. Captain Jiwan? Welcome aboard. I'm Lieutenant Minsu. The Admiral is waiting for you in the observation deck. Jiwan followed him through the ship's corridors. Everything was clean, modern, efficient. Crew members passed by, all of them looking professional and confident. This was what a real military looked like. Not the small, outdated force she commanded. The observation deck had a massive window looking out at space. Admiral Seo-hyun stood there, hands clasped behind her back, watching the stars. She was shorter than Jiwan expected, with gray hair tied back in a simple style. She looked tired, but content. Admiral, Jiwan said, trying not to sound as nervous as she felt. So-hyun turned and smiled. Captain Jiwan, thank you for coming. Please, sit with me. She gestured to chairs near the window. Would you like tea? Coffee? Coffee would be nice. A crew member brought them drinks and then left them alone. So-hyun sat down with a sigh. I've been standing on the bridge for 3 days. It feels good to sit. So-hyun. End quote. Don. So-hyun. Jiwan didn't know how to start, so she just said what was in her heart. Why did you come? We left Earth. We chose to be alone out here. We haven't been part of human civilization for 30 years. Why send your entire fleet to save us? Soo-hyun looked at her for a long moment. Then she told a story. 40 years ago, my grandfather was on a colony ship heading to the outer rim. Their engines failed halfway there. They were stranded in deep space, no way to get home. supplies running low. They sent a distress call, but they didn't really believe anyone would come. They were just colonists. Just ordinary people trying to make a new life. She paused, sipping her coffee. But Earth heard their call. And Earth sent a fleet. Not because those colonists were rich or important. Not because they had paid their taxes or voted in elections. But because they were human, and humans don't leave their people behind to die. Ji-won felt tears forming in her eyes. My grandfather told me that story when I was young, So-hyun continued. He said that when the fleet arrived, everyone on his ship cried. They had thought they were alone, forgotten. But humanity remembered them. Humanity came for them with everything they had. That's why you came, Ji-won whispered. That's why I came, So-hyun confirmed. When your distress signal reached Earth, I was in a meeting with the Joint Chiefs. The President was there too. Your message played, and we all heard the fear in your voices. We heard you accepting that you were going to die. She set down her coffee cup. The President looked at me and asked one question. Can we get there in time? I said yes, but it would require pushing our ships to maximum speed. It would be hard on the crews. It would use a lot of fuel. It would be expensive. What did the President say? Ji-won asked. She said, Then what are you waiting for? Go bring them home. Ji-won couldn't hold back her tears anymore. She cried, and Admiral So-hyun let her. When she finally stopped, the Admiral handed her a tissue. We mobilized the entire Pacific Fleet in under 2 hours, So-hyun said. Every ship, every crew member. We pushed our hyperspace drives to limits they weren't designed for. We risked damaging our ships, injuring our people. And you know what? Not a single person complained. When I told the fleet why we were going, every single crew member volunteered to make the trip. Why? Ji-won asked. We're strangers to them. No, So-hyun said firmly. You're not strangers. You're human. That means you're family. It means when you call for help, we come running. It means no matter how far you go, or how long you're gone, you're still one of us. She stood and walked to the window. Do you know what the Valthari don't understand? What most alien species don't understand about us? Ji-won shook her head. They think in terms of cost and benefit. They calculate whether something is worth the effort. They measure the value of lives against the price of saving them. So-hyun's voice was hard now. Humans don't think that way. When one of us is in danger, we don't ask if it's worth saving them. We ask how fast we can get there. Ji-won stood and joined her at the window. Below them, New Scylla looked peaceful and safe. The Valthari commander asked me why we sent so many ships for one small colony, So-hyun continued. He couldn't understand it. In his culture, you only risk valuable assets for valuable targets. A colony like yours wasn't worth a major military response. What did you tell him? I told him the truth. That human lives aren't valuable because of what they produce or what they contribute. They're valuable because they're human. Every single one of you matters. Every child in your shelters, every miner in your fields, every person who chose to make a life here, you all matter. She turned to face Ji-won. Earth reorganized our entire defense philosophy 20 years ago. We maintain fleets ready for immediate deployment anywhere humans might be threatened. We developed faster ships specifically so we could respond to distress calls in time. We did all of this because we decided something important. What was that? We decided that we want to live in a galaxy where humans look out for each other. Where human means something. Where you're never truly alone, no matter how far from home you go. Ji-won looked out at the fleet. Hundreds of ships, thousands of crew members, all here, because New Scylla called for help. I don't know how to thank you, she said quietly. You don't have to thank me, So-hyun replied. This is what family does. But there is something you can do. Anything. Stay connected. Join the Collective Defense Network. Let us install proper military equipment here. Accept regular fleet visits. And if someday, somewhere, another colony calls for help, I want New Scylla to be part of the response. Jiwan understood immediately. This wasn't just about being saved. It was about being part of something bigger. A human civilization that protected its own, no matter what. We will, she promised. New Scylla will join the network. We'll never be isolated again. Sohyun smiled and extended her hand. Welcome home, Captain. They shook hands, and Jiwan felt something shift in her heart. For 30 years, she had thought of New Scylla as separate from Earth, as independent and alone. But that was wrong. They had never stopped being human. They had never stopped being part of the family. They just forgot for a while. But Earth never forgot them. And when they needed help, Earth came running with everything it had. Later that day, Jiwan returned to New Scylla and called a colony meeting. Everyone gathered in the main plaza. She told them about her conversation with Admiral Sohyun. She told them about Earth's promise. She told them they would never be alone again. The colonists cheered. Children waved at the ships in orbit. Families held each other and cried happy tears. Ara stood next to Minho, watching the celebration. We thought we were independent, she said, but we were just lost. And now we're found, Minho replied. Above them, the Earth Defense Fleet maintained its watch. Silent guardians, protecting humans who had needed help, and received an entire fleet, because that's what humanity does. That's who humans are. They never leave anyone behind. 2 weeks after the battle, life on New Scylla had changed completely. The underground shelters were empty now. Children played in the streets again. Miners returned to their work. But everything felt different. Safer. Connected. Ara stood in front of the new communications array, admiring the equipment the Earth fleet had installed. It was beautiful, sleek, and powerful. Nothing like the old, outdated systems she used to maintain. This array was connected directly to Earth's defense network. If New Scylla ever needed help again, the message would reach Earth Command instantly. But more than that, it meant New Scylla could talk to Earth regularly, send messages to other colonies, be part of the greater human civilization. The isolation was over. Pretty amazing, isn't it? Lieutenant Sora said, walking up behind her. The fighter pilot had stayed on New Scylla for a few days, helping train local defense personnel. It's incredible, Ara replied. I've been working with communication systems my whole life, but this is beyond anything I've seen. Sora smiled. Technology has improved a lot in the last 30 years. Earth has been busy while you were out here doing your own thing. I want to learn, Ara said suddenly. Everything. I want to know how to operate these new systems, how to maintain them, how to build them. You should join the defense fleet, Sora suggested. We need engineers who understand colony life. People who know what it's like out here on the rim. Ara looked at her in surprise. Would they accept someone like me? I'm not military trained. Lowe's. I'm not military trained. Neither was I when I started, Sora said. I was just a shuttle pilot on a small colony. But they taught me, trained me, gave me opportunities I never would have had otherwise. She gestured at the sky. Now, I fly the fastest fighters in human space. I help protect people. It's a good life. Ara thought about it. She had always wanted to fly, to see other worlds, to be part of something bigger than just maintaining old equipment on a forgotten colony. Maybe now she could. I'll think about it, she said. In the colony administration building, Hyun was meeting with Commander Jiho. They were finalizing the agreements that would formally connect New Scylla to the collective defense network. You'll maintain your local government, Jiho explained. Your independence, in day-to-day, matters. But you'll also receive regular support from Earth, technology sharing, trade opportunities, defense assistance. What do you want in return? Hyun asked. He had been an administrator long enough to know that nothing was free. Cooperation, Jiho said simply. When Earth calls for updates, you provide them. When we need to station ships here temporarily, you allow it. And if another colony needs help, New Scylla contributes what it can. Hyun nodded. That seemed fair. More than fair, considering what Earth had done for them. There's something else, Jiho continued. Earth wants to establish a memorial here. For what happened? A reminder that humans protect their own. A memorial? A monument in your main plaza. It would list the names of everyone who was here during the attack. Everyone who was saved. And it would carry a simple message. No human stands alone. Hyun felt his throat tighten. We would be honored. Down in the medical center, Dr. Jamin was teaching local medical staff about new treatment techniques. The Earth fleet had brought advanced medical equipment and supplies. Jamin wanted to make sure the colonists knew how to use them. This scanner can detect internal injuries without surgery, he explained, demonstrating the device. And this medication can heal broken bones in days, instead of weeks. The local doctors watched in amazement. Their medical technology was 30 years out of date. These new tools seemed like magic. Why are you giving us all of this? One doctor asked. This equipment must be expensive. Jamin looked at her seriously. Because you're human, and you deserve the best medical care we can provide. Cost doesn't matter when we're talking about saving lives. In the colony school, children were learning about Earth for the first time. Many had never really understood where their ancestors came from. Earth was just a word in history books. But now a teacher from the fleet was showing them pictures, videos, stories about humanity's homeworld. Earth has oceans that cover most of the planet, the teacher explained. Water so deep you can't see the bottom. And forests with trees taller than buildings. Mountains that touch the clouds. The children listened with wide eyes. Some of them dreamed of visiting Earth someday. Seeing the blue planet their grandparents had left behind. One boy raised his hand. Why did people leave, if Earth is so nice? The teacher smiled. Because humans are explorers. We always want to see what's beyond the horizon. But no matter how far we go, Earth is still home. And home always welcomes you back. Minho spent his days working with Earth scientists, learning about new discoveries in physics and engineering. The technological gap was stunning. Earth had made advances in power generation, propulsion systems, and materials science that New Scylla couldn't match. But the Earth scientists shared everything freely. No secrets, no restrictions. They wanted New Scylla to have the same advantages as any other human colony. Why aren't you worried about us misusing this technology? Minho asked one scientist. Because you're human, the scientist replied, as if it was obvious. That trust was humbling and powerful. Taeyang had started training with the Earth Defense Force personnel who would staff the new garrison. They taught him modern combat techniques, showed him how new weapons worked, explained their tactical doctrines. Your old defensive strategy was all wrong, a sergeant told him. You were trying to fight off attackers with outdated equipment. That's not how we do things anymore. Crete, how do you do things? Taeyang asked. We make sure attackers never get close enough to fight. We detect threats early. We respond with overwhelming force. And we make damn sure everyone in the galaxy knows what happens if they threaten humans. It was a different philosophy. More aggressive. More confident. But after seeing the fleet in action, Taeyang understood why it worked. In the colony plaza, Daeun organized a celebration. The entire colony gathered to thank the Earth fleet before most of it departed. Food was shared. Music played. Earth soldiers danced with colonists. Children played with off-duty Marines. It was the happiest day New Scylla had seen in years. Admiral Seo-hoon walked through the celebration with Captain Ji-won. Your people seem content, the Admiral observed. They are, Ji-won confirmed. We all are. You gave us back our lives. Our future. You always had those things, So-hyun said gently. "We just reminded you that you weren't alone." They stopped in front of the new memorial that had been built in the plaza's center. A tall stone pillar, with all 3,000 colonist names carved into it. At the top, the promised message: "No human stands alone." Below that, another inscription: "When New Scylla called for help, Earth sent a fleet. Because that's what family does." "It's perfect," Jiwon said softly. "There's something I want you to understand," So-hyun said. "What we did here, bringing the fleet, fighting the Valthari, it wasn't special. It wasn't extraordinary. This is normal for us now. This is what humanity does." Jiwon looked at her. "That's what makes it special, that this is normal for you." So-hyun smiled. "Maybe you're right." The next morning, most of the fleet prepared to leave. 2 destroyers and a supply station would remain, but the carriers and cruisers were needed elsewhere. There were other colonies to protect, other missions to complete. Ara stood at the spaceport, watching the ships prepare for departure. Sora found her there. "Still thinking about joining up?" the pilot asked. "Yes," Ara said. "I want to be like you, like all of you. I want to help protect people." "Then come with us," Sora said. "Right now. The Incheon has space for new recruits. Start your training on the way back to Earth." "Seen Sin. Recruits." Ara's heart raced. Leave New Scylla? Leave home? It was scary, but also exciting. The galaxy was so much bigger than she had ever imagined, and humans were out there, building an amazing civilization. She wanted to be part of that. "I'll go tell my parents," Ara said. "Then I'll pack." Sora grinned. "Welcome to the Defense Fleet, recruit." As the fleet departed, the entire colony came out to watch. Ships rose into the sky, their engines bright against the morning. They formed up in orbit, a final salute to New Scylla, then jumped to hyperspace and vanished. But 2 destroyers remained. And the defense station. And the promise that humanity would always respond when called. Jiwon stood in the command center, looking at the new displays and equipment. The connection to Earth Command showed green and active. Around the galaxy, thousands of other colonies showed on the network, all protected, all connected, all human. She opened a channel to Earth. New Scylla Command to Earth Defense. We're online and operational. Ready to serve. The response came immediately. Welcome to the network, New Scylla. It's good to have you with us. Earth Command out. Jiwon smiled. They weren't alone anymore. They never would be again. Far across the galaxy, the Volthari broadcast the story of their defeat. They told other species what happened when you threatened humans. How Earth responded, with overwhelming force. How humans never abandoned their own, no matter the cost. Some species heard the message and decided humans were too dangerous to approach. Good. Humans would rather be feared than tested. Other species heard the message and requested contact with Earth. They wanted to trade, to ally, to learn from this species that valued its people so highly. Earth welcomed them carefully, but always remembered, humans came first. On New Scylla, children played in the streets without fear. Miners worked knowing they were safe. Families slept peacefully, protected by the promise of Earth. And in the plaza, the memorial stood tall. A reminder of the day New Scylla learned they were never alone. A promise carved in stone that whenever humans called for help, help would come. Not just help, an entire fleet. Because that's what it means to be human,